Hi everyone, welcome back to Navajo Tea Time. We've been away for a couple of months. Holiday is really busy. So Adrian, what have you been doing?
Hey Kelsey, it is so good to hear your voice. I've been up to a lot. I mean, my day job has been taking up the bulk of my time and energy. I have a big family that I tend to, so I've been focusing on that. There's a lot of updates I have regarding, I guess, my personal life and how that's been affecting Navajo Tea Time. So maybe we should get into that, do a quick update for our followers just to kind of bring them up to speed as to where you and I are at, and then after that we can move into the tea topics.
Yeah, for sure. I saw a lot of your Diné College president's page really, um, I don't know, is it poppin'? I don't know. I can't talk. Um, I don't know, slang very well, but like you've been posting a lot about different fundraisers and your new what's it called, classes that you're doing online or talks that you're doing
Yeah,
online.
yeah. So thank you. I'm glad that you're saying that the page is popping because I have been putting a lot of energy into promoting the upcoming events and fundraising initiatives this year. So I mean, I don't want to talk too much about Dinner College only because um, that's, I don't know, I kind of feel like this might not be the best venue to talk about that, but we are doing a lot of fundraising this year to replenish the Warrior Scholarship Fund. So every year we're doing a raffle, which is really exciting. People who give over $20 will be entered into a raffle to win a prize at the end of the month. We're also doing alumni trivia nights to try to boost engagement with alumni of the college, not just in our college, but also NCC, Navajo Community College. And the lunch and learns, I think that's what you were alluding to. I started these monthly lunch and learns titled A Culture of Philanthropy on the Rise. And I host those every month on Zoom. It's been really fun. And, I'm there to answer questions, to present on what philanthropy is, what it looks like, ways we can give back, that sort of thing. So it's been really busy in that respect. Um, yeah. How about you? What's new with you?
Well, nothing new, just consistent, I guess.
Yeah.
I do change labs. Me and my business, we do change labs. Over the winter, we had some time to, I guess, self reflect on where we wanted our business to go. So we've been doing a lot of promotional videos, promoting businesses, promoting schools and different topics and
Hmm.
organizations, but that's not where we want to be. So, one of the key things that this program does is help you identify your ideal customer, like the person
Hmm.
you're trying to sell to.
Hmm.
And us as a business have been really butting heads, I guess is the way, with that process because the people right now that we're selling our services to aren't what we want to be selling in the long run. We want to be creating, storylines and comic books and just making music in a creative aspect, not so much as a business, promotional, commercial aspect.
Hmm.
So that's one major change we're doing with our business is trying to figure out how to organize our business structure that way. And then we need to really deep dive into crowdfunding and finding sponsors for specific projects, so that we can
Hmm.
still get paid to do what we love to do.
Hmm.
And so that's one major thing we're working on right now. And I guess that helps change labs because their entire time, like, okay, they're making video promotions for businesses, they're selling logo designs and all this stuff. We're like, that's what we're doing, but that's not what we want to do. So, like, in the background, we're like, okay, we just need to put our foot down and exactly tell them what we want and what kind of help we want from them as business incubators. So that's been really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and like for those who are unfamiliar with Change Labs is the incubator that Happy Accidents Media Productions is a part of right now, right? You guys are a part of the latest cohort.
Yeah, the 2020 cohort. I don't know if they're still taking applications now, but the process
Yeah,
for
I
the
saw
next
that they
cohort.
were. Yeah, I saw that they were accepting applications for the next cohort, and that's really exciting. But yeah, I can identify with your frustration, but I think it's also great that you guys are getting jobs and paying the bills, and that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's just like one of those other things. Like, there's a million things I could be doing and just making the quick monies, but it's not what I want to do. And I guess it goes back to like that generational thing of wanting to do something that makes me happy instead of just making something that pays the bills.
Mm-hmm.
And we as a company decided to put our foot down and say we want to be happy. So,
That's good considering your name, the name of your company, and the fact that you are the executive director. That's awesome.
I'm the chief executive member, but that's title
Oh,
only.
I'm sorry. Sorry, executive member. My bad.
Yeah, but that just means I have to do all the paperwork.
Yeah, exactly. I know that's what people don't understand is these titles come with very specific roles and responsibilities, and they're not always fancy. You know what I mean? They're very like you got to be meticulous about your paperwork and your tracking and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's why the guys let me be the chief executive member. They're like, she can do all the paperwork, which I like filling out applications, and I do like making paperwork, and I do like creating these things and these processes, but they also need to follow the processes. Sometimes it's like we had this established, we need to keep moving forward with it, but that's a whole nother
Yeah,
thing.
for sure. Well, another cool update that I've embarked on grad school, and I think I alluded to that in a previous episode, but I actually started classes last semester and I finished up the last class I took. I got a B, which is awesome. Um, I was actually having a fit over it because on the online platform that we utilize for our class, it showed up as an A, and I was like, "Yeah, I aced it." And then I get my final grade, and it's a B, and I was like, "What the heck?" I was pissed. But anyways, it's been really fun. I'm loving it. I took the first 8 weeks off of this year because, like you said before, I've been really focused on doing college, and so I took a few weeks off to kind of get back in the groove of things, really prioritize my work, and then I'm starting class in a couple weeks again. So that's cool. But that's like the latest thing, really. It's just like, starting this new journey. And when it comes to my business, Yaboka Knowledge Distribution, I'm really proud that we have a new website layout that I revealed actually this week. So if anyone wants to check it out, it's www.teamykd.com. And what we did is we started to kind of refine the services and products that we refine the presentation of the services and products that we offer. So that was included in the new website update. And then also my husband and I released a new album, which Happy Accidents was a part of. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's called Memories and Dreams, and that was released on Valentine's Day, which is really exciting. And it's just a tribute that my husband did for me, and it's really cute. Algernon Sakiestua, he's a part of Happy Accidents. He did all of the artwork, he did the logo, and he did an amazing job. Sound engineering was done by Urian Lee, who was also of Happy Accidents. and we're gonna try to rope Kelsey into doing a video for us. When it's safe for us to come together again, and
Right.
probably a photo shoot. So yeah, Michael really wants to work with you in that respect. So just throwing it out there.
That's cool. Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to do too, is do more music videos, because music videos are essentially short stories with
Yeah.
music overlaid. And, the more creative we can get, the better, I feel
Hmm.
like. So, sure.
Yeah, and the album is super like it's very abstract. It's like a journey of sound. You know what I mean? It's really interesting, and I think I think there could be a lot done visually to accompany it. So yeah, we want to work with you on that in the future.
Yeah, that's one thing
So that's huh?
I was gonna say,
Sorry.
one thing I tried to do this month of February, at the beginning of February, is try to focus on my film self, where
Mm-hmm.
like I try to look up different things, and I haven't had any time to get out and try playing around with different framing setups, because
Mm-hmm.
it's been like hot and cold and windy and snowy, and
Yeah.
like the times I have to do these things, it's the bad weather, and when I have like a meeting or something, it's good weather, and it's like I want to get out and do it. But that's one thing I've been trying to focus on this month. But then halfway through the month, I told the boys, I was like, you guys, you have to do all the admin work, because I'm going to take a step back and just try and figure out, what filming style I like to do, because it's always just been commercial and everything, and it's like, okay, we cater it to what the client wants in a promo or something, but
Mm-hmm.
very corporate, I guess. So now I'm trying to figure out my more creative film framing mind, since we're taking our business in that direction. So I told them, I'm gonna step back and let you guys do this stuff. But then 2 weeks, or like almost a week and a half into the month, we land and finalize this really interesting job, and I'm like, oh well, now I have to get back into planning and doing all this admin work again. That didn't last long, of not doing admin work.
Oh my
So
goodness. Yeah, admin work can get so tedious. I'm sure a lot of our listeners can identify with the pains attached to administrative work. But yeah, I was really excited to see a lot of new likes on our social media and a lot of new followers. So I think we should add in a round of applause here for those people. Thank you so much for joining us. Um, I think, I really want to get back to being able to do video. That'd be really fun. So I'm hoping it'll be safe to do so sooner rather than later.
yeah, for sure. I know I'm just waiting for my second dose of vaccine, which will be in the beginning of March. So I guess that's one step closer to, you know, COVID mellowing out. I hesitate to say completely, COVID free, because all the science says it's probably not going to be COVID free. It's just going to be us living with COVID better,
Mm-hmm.
like the flu and the cold. It's just going to be something we get used to.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's one of our tea topics, right? It's related to COVID.
Well, yeah, there's not much else going on in the world,
I know, it's
to
just
be
all
too
around
divisive.
us. I know, it's all like there's the vaccinated versus the non-vaccinated. You just start a war.
Well, it all comes down to choice, like if you want to get vaccinated, that's fine. If you have hesitation, that's also fine, because it did come out suspiciously fast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I guess if you deep dive into it, you can link it back to how they were able to create a vaccine so fast. But I can't stare at a computer with letters too long. My eyes go all cross-eyed, so I don't read a lot of online um, papers. But
It's funny. All right, do you want to start off? You want to announce the first tea topic?
Yeah, our first tea topic is just our observations during the lockdown.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So one thing I was observing and just I get these weird little arguments rolling around in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, like during the holiday season, there were from Thanksgiving until Christmas, there was these food drives, there was these toy drives. The Thanksgiving meal drive, where they gave you a turkey and like meal food to make a Thanksgiving dinner in Tuba City. They only had it at the fairgrounds in Tuba City, and so me and my grandma we went, and we were driving like maybe 5 miles past the entrance off the highway.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is ridiculous, Grandma. Do we want to wait 5 hours to get a free turkey, or we can go to Tuba and buy one that we like, you know? And she's like, yeah, we can just skip it. So there's that thing of like, you guys need to stay home, you need to stay indoors, shelter in place, don't go out anywhere. But then they have these really long lines of people just sitting and waiting for these food drives. And then also the toy drives during Christmas, it was like, come pick up a toy for your kid, but your kid has to, all the kids have to be present, but stay home, shelter in place, don't take your kids anywhere. It's like, there's all these conflicting messages, I guess. It's like, don't take your kids anywhere, but bring them to the toy drive. Stay home, but you have to drive these many miles to get this help. And it's like, ah.
Mm-hmm.
That was just one of my
I know. I
observations.
remember. Yeah, I know. I feel like sometimes people don't think things through all the way because I saw that happening at my kids' school at the beginning of the pandemic, where they were like, "We're still going to continue giving kids their lunches every day. So if you want to bring your kid, bring them to the school, and we'll give them a lunch." And I was like, not really down to do that because I was really scared. And one day the kids were like, "Hey, take us over there," like, and I was like, "No, I'm not gonna take you over there, but I'll go check up on it for you." So I went over to the school and I asked them, and they were like, "Your kid needs to be with you." And I was like, "We're in a pandemic. I don't think it's safe. Maybe you guys should think about that before you ask children to bring their kids to pick up lunch." You know what I mean? And they were like, "Oh yeah." So I'm thinking
Yeah,
they weren't thinking it through.
Cameron kind of had that thing, but you didn't have to have your kid present.
Yeah.
I think the limit was 10 meals. You could pick up 10 meals in case someone was picking up for multiple families. Because
Dang.
some people don't have rides out here in Cameron.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so they're like, your limit's 10. You can't go past 10. Because someone's like, well, what if I need to pick up one for me and then my sister who lives next door and then my brother who lives down the way? It's like, your limit's
Hmm.
10. You can't pick up more than 10 meals. And it wasn't just kids in the school district, it was just anyone who lives in the area from 0 to 18, I believe.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I know it's crazy how many children are dependent on school lunches to get their nutritional needs met.
I think that's just all over the country, though, like
It
kids
is.
going to school just for lunch or breakfast.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's some tea right there. Why are we living in America, the supposed first world country, and we have all these children that live in poverty,
Okay,
and
I
yeah.
have a rant about the first world, second world, and third world labels.
Go for it.
Obviously, the meaning has changed, but I looked into it during one of my rants, one of my solo video rants, and first world is when it originally the term first came out was identifying any countries that agreed with America that democracy is best. Second
Hmm.
world is any country that agreed with Russia that communism was best. Third world is any other country that didn't pick a side.
Hmm. Well, that changes a lot.
Yeah.
I I know. I was thinking about it from an economic,
Yeah, that's what people assume. Like
like
it's an
economical.
economic status, because people talk about first world countries and third world countries. I'm like, what's a second world country? Is it like, if the Navajo Nation was a second world country? And I looked into it, and I'm like, no, it has nothing to do with that. It's just what you believe is good for ruling a
Mm-hmm.
country,
Mm-hmm.
or if you didn't pick a side.
Dang, truth bomb. Just kidding. To throw in some sound effects.
I'll try. But yeah, so now every time I see someone saying, "Oh, it's a first world country," or "This is a third world country problem," or "first world," I'm like, actually, but I don't do it. I'm like, nah, that's not the hill I want to die on. Like they're technically wrong, but I'll just let it go.
Don't let it go. Just kidding. I know. I used to love getting into like discussions with people who would try to. It's horrible, but people who would talk about feminism, they always would speak about it in a very uninformed way. And I used to love to jump in and be like, well, actually, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, like the feminism
Feminism.
ideology is something you can, argue about and stuff, but like who really cares if technically first world country doesn't mean what you think it means? Or
Yeah.
you know, people have changed the meaning of what it originated from.
Yeah, it definitely evolved. So I guess we could do hashtag pick your battles.
Right? That's not a battle I need to have. Like technically you're wrong, but let's move on. But
Oh my goodness. You know that so this is funny. So before we scheduled a day to talk, Kelsey sent me this Google Doc and I started we both added our perspectives and what we're going to talk about and I can't find it. So I'm just winging it right now.
that's fine. It's more organic conversation.
Totally organic. I'm just like I have no idea what I was going to contribute to this topic about, I guess, the quarantines. I mean, I think like what the I think the realty there is just like the politicization of the quarantines. I think that was a big thing last year, and I could see it actually shifting and changing now because the elections are passed. But that was a big hot topic last year, and I was just kind of like over it. You know what I mean? Like people weren't even trying to look at like facts or science or just critically think about the situation and really come from a solution based place. It was really just about how their politics aligned with the mandates that were, being put in place for the safety of people.
It was like
So,
very red versus blue.
oh God, I know it was so dumb. Like some things you just shouldn't politicize, like especially when it comes to like life and death and the health and well-being of people. It's like, can we move beyond that? That was
Right? Like the health and well being of the world.
I know. Like the human race is at stake right now. Come on, really? It's so dumb. Anyways, so that's the tea I'm going to contribute to that topic.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to touch.
Comment below if you don't agree. Just kidding.
That's something I wanted to talk to you because I remember the beginning of the year. I guess it was almost a year ago in February.
Mhm.
You said like political season was your Super Bowl and you were ready to like dive in and do all this stuff.
Mhm.
Did you just fizz out way too fast?
Oh my God, yeah, totally. Like it used to be, but after 45 got elected, I just kind of threw in the towel and was like, forget this. This is stupid. I hate it. and I was really frustrated. I was frustrated, and I was also in a place of like survival, you know. I wanted to live through this. I didn't want to get sick. And I guess my priorities just shifted so greatly during, you know, the past 11 months.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a different person now.
It was too much of a good thing.
It was fun for a while, and then it just got dumb, and then I just got frustrated, and I was like, this is so stupid. I don't have the energy for this. And I just put my energy elsewhere, and that was really focusing on my family, focusing on community. You know, like I said, my husband and I, we were a big part of like we played a part in some of the mutual aid efforts here on the Navajo Nation. That was really important to us. Really looking out for a lot of our knowledge holders, because we take it seriously that once, you know, if we don't take care of our knowledge holders, who is? You know what I mean? We have a duty and responsibility to protect them and to keep them safe and make sure that the knowledge they carry gets passed on. And that was like priority number one. And making sure our kids didn't get sick. That was a major priority too. And you know, it's crazy because like it just kept getting closer and closer, you know. More at first our community was untouched, you know, for a long time, for months, you know, where we're living there were no cases. But at the end of 2020, the first cases started to come very close to home. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is scary, you know? So um, I'm glad we got through that. And like you, I also got the vaccine. It's actually mandatory where I work. I have to, just because we work with students. And so I got it. I got the second dose actually last week. So now I'm just waiting out the time period so that our immunity will be boosted to 90%, and then, you know, continue to take precautions. And hopefully by next year, we'll be in a much better place. So here's hoping and praying.
Yeah.
So
So,
what's next tea topic?
um, well, one other topic I want to talk about with like the shelter in place and the lockdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we kind of tried to record this issue last time, but it just the audio and everything wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
The conversation recorded last time was literally just a buzz and a hum the entire hour I recorded us talking. And like I don't know what I did wrong, but anyways. So like the reservation wasn't fully suitable for like a shelter in place lockdown, don't leave your house, have people deliver food to your door, you know, emergency situation, where like in a big city in Flagstaff or Phoenix, even Page, maybe, I don't know if Page has delivery service, but
Mm-hmm.
like they have the ability to deliver groceries to your house, or you know, if you're gonna eat out, deliver the food to your house. My community has a gas station slash food store. We have two other gas stations, but we only have like a third of a grocery store in our community.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna say the food's bad there, but it's all, most of it's highly processed. There's only one refrigerator of fresh food, or
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote fresh food. Um, so it's not the most healthiest food to get daily, weekly, you know, for eating constantly, and we have to travel
Mm-hmm.
to get food. And everyone, I see some of these posts and they just make my blood boil, where they're like, you should all just be staying home anyways, why are you guys going anywhere? And it's like, excuse me, I have to buy food.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like some people are just really judgmental. It's like no one should go anywhere ever. You should just stay home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, I guess I'll just starve to death. You know?
Okay, I remember what I was gonna say about this. I was gonna say that these people that are so opinionated and judgmental need to keep their mouths shut. Because they don't know your situation. And a lot of people who make those comments too, they're not even living in that situation. They're not on the res. And, you know, the community I live in, it's actually smaller than yours. We have one gas station, and that's it. And it's, we have to go 30 miles to get to a grocery store, and an hour and a half to get any other services. So if we wanted to get like additional supplies, or if we wanted to get a deal on groceries, it's even further. So, you know, living on the res, I think we're all doing our best. But, and I guess all I want to say is just people who are being super judgmental, telling other people how to live their lives and take care of their families, like that advice is so, it's unsolicited, but it's also like unwanted, you know, like stop it.
It's
No
like
one asked you.
no one asked you anyways.
I know. You should read what I wrote. Yeah, just kidding. Adrian said.
Where is it? No, but like even on I'm a part of this group. It's Navajo Nation road conditions.
Uh-huh.
So it's literally people asking about the road conditions while they travel, or like someone posting up a like they pass an accident or construction sites like, hey, this is a really long construction wait, you might want to leave earlier if you need to and whatnot.
Yeah.
But then people are like, hey, how's this road? And people are like, just stay home. And it's like, no, I'm asking because I gotta go somewhere, excuse you. Like,
I know. There's a group like that here too. It's called Buffalo Pass Road Conditions, and it's funny because it's a mountain pass, and it's every time someone's like, hey, how are the road conditions, it's always like that. They're always like, go around, just stay home. And so I have this friend who posts, and you know how like when people post normally they'll ask a question, they'll say whatever, and then they'll put at the bottom no rude comments, or you know what I mean, like
mm-hmm.
no rude comments please kind of thing. Anyways, my friend, he'll post up, and then he'll at the bottom he'll put rude comments only. It's really funny.
But like it's like if I could stay home I would. I need, like, people like I have a doctor's appointment, and then now I'm seeing these really long-winded posts of like, what are the road conditions from this place? I have a doctor's appointment at this time and I need to go to it. What are the road conditions? I have to go to this appointment. And it's like, oh my goodness, people are oversharing now because people are like, just stay home. It's a pandemic. You shouldn't be going anywhere. And it's like, well, obviously they're traveling for essential reasons.
Yeah, yeah. I know. Someone got mad at me because I had an appointment in town, and I mentioned that I was going to go to that appointment. And this person was just like, that's so stupid, you know? Like, you shouldn't even be going to town. And I was like, you should keep your mouth shut. I'm all mean about it. But yeah. Anyways. So I guess maybe we should, how can we encourage people to post about that on our threads? Like, screenshot the rudest comments. Just kidding.
You call people out here.
Call people out. Tag them. Hashtag tag them. Post it to Navajo Tea Time's Facebook page. Just kidding.
I don't know. I pick my battles in social media. It's like, it's not worth it. It made me mad, but I'll just click past it.
Yeah, I guess I just want more people to engage with us on social media, and I think we were both going to try to do a better job to post it more frequently. And Kelsey had this great idea of like posting every week about some of our past videos while we're waiting for a new video to go up. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, we can just talk about. Honestly, every time I think about my home site lease, I'm like, just tell me, are there endangered animals or not? Fish and wildlife. It's been 3 years, 4 years maybe.
Oh my goodness. We actually started looking off the res just because the grazing officials aren't really available right now. And I've been trying to get on the phone with them so that I can confirm a spot back where I'm from, but I haven't been able to get them on the phone. So I'm just like, maybe we should look elsewhere. And it sucks because like a home site lease is such a privilege, and I really want to build a home. I really want to hogan on the res that's my own.
Yeah, I have that same feeling, but like there's no incentive to buy a house or make a house on the reservation. You can't sell it when the housing market goes up. You can't buy a nicer one when the housing market goes down. There is no housing market. You have a house, it's yours until you pass away, and then your children and grandchildren have to deal with the probation officer or rebate
Yeah,
court or
and
whatever.
that's why I just want a hogan, like a ceremonial hogan, so it can be utilized for healing and growth, and you know what I mean? Like that's important to me. So to have that would be really nice. One that, is our own, and we can annoy all of our neighbors with these long all night ceremonies. Just like bless the whole place up. If
What's
you're my
that
neighbor,
one meme?
you're having a hajaja too. Come on out.
There's that meme, was it, where like you burn sage to get rid of the evil spirits in your house and you pass out and you were the evil spirit in your house?
Is that you?
Sometimes I feel that way. Just
Oh no.
well,
You're like, I gotta get out of here.
well, just in like the Navajo philosophy way of like, there's certain things you don't associate with or talk about, and those are some of the things that I identify with the most. So it
Yeah.
feels like I'm just like a reverse whatever. Like there's taboos and things that in Navajo you don't talk about or mention or whatever, but I feel like those things fascinate and interest me the most.
Ooh, we should do an episode on that, on taboos.
Okay.
Everyone's gonna be like, Edie, gotta love these two. All right, so what's the next topic?
Next topic. I guess it's just the being negative versus constructive criticism.
Oh yeah, she had a whole diatribe, eh? Just kidding. She's all, first of all.
Well, okay. One thing I hate is waiting. I show up at a specific time and I don't want to wait too long. Okay? And getting my grandma's second dose of vaccines, they gave us a little appointment slip for the drive-through, and they said show up a little bit before your appointment time, but don't show up too early. So we showed up at 8. Our appointment time was like 9:40. And then there was a line all the way up and around, the whole place. And we're like, we have an appointment at 9:40. They're like, oh, the appointment times don't really matter. We just, I'm like, well, then why'd you give me an appointment time? So I made that comment. I'm like, me and my grandma were waiting here for so many hours, and you tell people not to show up too early, but then the people who do show up way too early anyways, you just let them through, but then the people who listened to the instructions and followed the rules still get punished, and you reward the people who ignored the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone's like, stop being negative, just be happy you spent time with your grandma. I'm like, excuse me, I spend tons of time with my grandma. I see her at least 5 times a week. And then someone's like,
you don't know my life.
And they're like, just be grateful you spend time with your grandma. I lost my grandma and now I can't spend any time with her. I'm like, and the thing that comes to my head, I've heard this statement and I have to stop myself from saying it so many times, and it's like, that sounds like a you problem.
Yeah.
And I was like, don't say it, don't say it. That's just going to start an argument. It doesn't even matter.
I know. I would just be like, this isn't about you.
I was like, that sounds like a you problem. But anyway. But, you know, if you don't criticize things and you don't... My problem with being negative is like, well, this is stupid. It's like, okay, what's stupid? How can we fix it? Is there something particular that isn't working? That's being negative. Saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't reward the people who disregarded the instructions and actually let the people who followed the rules, you know, get rewarded for once. That was a big criticism I made. So that shows here's a distinct, identifiable problem. Maybe there's something you guys can do in your system to fix it. And I wasn't targeting any of the people working there. I know they have no control over anything, but the people who set up these big, elaborate vaccine drives, you know, give them feedback. Because sometimes you're doing something, you know, like even this podcast, or the podcast Navajo Tea Time, you know, we have these different formats, and no one said anything whether it works or not, or whether they liked a certain way or format that we did. It's like we're just creating content. It's out there. We don't know if it's working. We don't know what you don't like. We don't know what you do like. You know, we're just going on.
Our followers and subscribers.
I know, I was looking at the analytics, and almost 99.8% of the people who watch our videos are not subscribed. So, why haven't you subscribed? Tell me why you won't subscribe.
We need to know. Ew. You gotta tell us. Ew. But what's up? Why aren't you subscribing? Ew.
Right?
It's so mad.
But it just goes back around to like, stop being negative and just be grateful for getting the bare minimum of something. And it's like,
Y'all, first of all, we don't want the bare minimum. Y'all, do you know how many people like our Facebook page? No,
excuse me, do you know who I am?
For real though, that's some tea. Like, okay, so 1,248 people like our Facebook page. 1,311 people follow our Facebook page, and we got like eight subscribers or something.
No, I think we have like 104 subscribers.
But, for real?
But 99.8% of the people who watch our videos are not subscribed.
Dang. Yeah, so maybe people aren't familiar with why it's important to subscribe. So the reason why it's important to subscribe to a YouTube channel is because it assists the algorithm. So when a channel is trying to gain popularity, it's helpful when they have more subscribers and when people comment. And I swear, the only people that comment are trolls. Remember that one guy, that 6'6" guy? He was so dumb. Kelsey used to get into arguments with him on YouTube.
Oh my goodness. It's just... I'm glad you deleted those comments. I was like, should I respond? Should I not respond? Do we delete them? I don't know what to do. So mad.
I know. So if you're listening, ew, we're still talking about you. That's funny. Can you hear my son in the back?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. So I have a little boy, and he just turned 3 years old, and he does not like to take naps. And we put him down for a nap in the afternoon, and he always has a fit.
Frankie stopped taking naps. She doesn't take naps. She hasn't taken a nap in like a year or two.
Really?
She goes to bed pretty early, like around not well early.
Y'all
she
10. Ew.
she sleeps for 12 hours almost straight. Okay, so she goes to bed at 9. She
Dang.
wakes up at 9. Um,
That's good.
but she sleeps the whole night, so she doesn't need a nap. If she does nap, she usually ends up staying up until 10. So
Mm,
we just stopped giving her naps because she hasn't needed them.
yeah. I know. Our son, he used to be on a very strict, all the kids were on a very strict sleep schedule while they were in school. And that totally went out the window this past year. So, like, my son goes to sleep around 9:30 and he takes naps during the day because even if he's just laying there like with a book or something, that's better than him like running around and driving us crazy. So we kind of put him down just for our own sanity. And he's not big enough to crawl out of his crib right now. So, oh my God, I read this poem on Facebook, and this person was writing about like indigenous native motherhood. And I was like, that's a tea topic right there. Because she was all like talking about how like native women are expected to raise their children a certain way that's, I guess, complementary to American culture or I guess Western norms. And she wrote about how oftentimes moms will just kind of nod their heads and say, yes, you know, I do this or that, but they actually don't. And I was thinking about that, about all the different ways we kind of like bend the rules to fit our own lifestyles. But one of the things that she was talking about was how like a lot of Native women don't have. I was on Facebook this week and I saw this poem that was posted about how a lot of indigenous women parent differently. And the person who wrote the poem, she mentioned that not a lot of Native women have cribs. They'll tell the nurses like, "Yeah, I have one. It's fine," you know. But oftentimes, you know, we just kind of sleep with our baby in our own bed. That's kind of the norm. But she was like, you know, we don't place our babies behind bars. And my first thought was just like, well, you don't know my kid. Which is horrible, I know, but he does. He has these fits, and I'm just like, okay, I'm putting you in your crib. You know, you can be mad in there, and then I'll get you out when you calm down. But I just thought it was funny. I'm like, dang, what does that say about me? Because I'm Native, you know what I mean? And I'm a mother, but anyway.
No, I get it. Like sometimes, well, every time I did a checkup with Frankie, I co-slept with her, and that was just because of my mental state. Even after the moment she was born, I couldn't sleep without her right next to me.
Hmm.
Like the after birthing her, um, I was in the hospital. She was born at like 1 in the morning, so obviously my mind is just mentally exhausted. But I couldn't sleep because she was just away from me, and the nurses and everyone like, you can't sleep with her because of legal issues and legal reasons. And I'm like, okay, I guess I just won't sleep because I couldn't
Hmm.
sleep. And like oh, we'll take the baby to the nursery so you guys can get some sleep, blah 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 blah. I didn't sleep the entire time she was at that nursery. I might have laid down and closed my eyes. Maybe I drifted in and
Hmm.
out from sleep, but it was never a nice sleep. I don't know if you know what I mean. Like, have you ever had like
Yeah.
that sleep where like you're trying to force yourself to go to sleep, but it's such an exhausting sleep you don't feel rested when you wake up?
Hmm.
That's how it was from the moment she was born. So I always co-slept with her. We even like prepared to not sleep next to her. Like we got a little bassinet and put her next to the bed, and she was literally just right next to me. But I couldn't go to sleep. I was just lying awake until she woke up to be fed. I'm like, okay, here you are, come with me, come to bed, and then I'll sleep while you're nursing, and then I just fall asleep with her.
Hmm.
And I told them that. I told them, like, nope, she co-sleeps. Like, that's not safe. I'm like, I know. I looked into it. I have the appropriate mattress that's recommended for co-sleeping and all this other stuff. We don't have big pillows or
Mm-hmm.
blankets. I make sure, like, I did my research of why some sadly infants pass away while sleeping next to their parents. But like, if I couldn't sleep and I needed to
Mm-hmm.
sleep, you know,
Yeah.
so that
Seriously.
I just told them, like, nope, I co-sleep with her, and like they're like, that's not safe. I'm like, I know, but I need to sleep. Um, that's all. So I don't find it helpful to lie to doctors, even if they're kind of judgy. They can't force you to do anything with your kids. So
Yeah, I agree.
I'd rather the doctor have all the information they need to properly take care of me and my child, instead of being embarrassed that I don't do something that's considered the mainstream way to raise your kid.
Yeah, no, that's real right there. Like I don't lie to doctors either. I tell them the truth all the time. And I'm always like, well, I think I know what's best for my child. And because I co-slept too when my son he was like just born until he was like older than 1 years old, before we got a crib for him. But I had a DocuTalk, and that was like super nice. And the only reason why we moved him to a crib is because he outgrew it, and and I didn't want to fork out more money to get the bigger version. So I was just like, let's just get him a crib. You know what I mean? But I totally get what you mean about not being able to sleep when your baby's there. I was the same way. Um, and yeah, motherhood, especially new motherhood, is super exhausting when you have an infant. So, but yeah, that's what the poem was about, and it was like triggering, and I got like defensive right away.
Well, like, no one knows your kid more than you do, hopefully.
Yeah.
Like, what sets them off. You spend their entire life with you, so
Hmm.
hopefully that's the situation. But like, you know how to handle them.
Yeah, and my kid, he has everything he needs and more. You know what I mean? Like he's very well taken care of. Like all our kids are. They're very fortunate in that way. So I'm just like when I guess that's kind of why I'm just like, well, it was unnecessary to feel defensive, but I honestly did. I was just like, whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, moms get defensive about their kids. It
That's
happens.
true. I know, like the mama bear comes out and it's just like, who do I gotta fight now? Ew. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about. Maybe this is like a little mini tangent, but yesterday, before the giant windstorm came through, it came in around like noon. We were trimming the trees. We have
Mhm.
two trees. We have like a little peach tree that we're trying to get to grow up, and then a cotton tree from tuba.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so we're just trimming the trees and cutting them down, and like giving the trees a haircut, basically. And I was telling Gernon, my husband, I was like, I like doing this. I like, coming outside, working with nature and our house. I'm like, it's not my house, it's my mom's house. And, just maintaining the land. And I'm like, this is what I would love to do. It, like, just put me on a plot of land with enough meat and vegetables, and I'll just grow it myself. I'll take care of everything and just get up, take care of everything, go back to sleep, you know? And
Mhm.
It's like, but somebody from across the pond decided to come over here and be like, no, we own the land, so now you have to pay taxes, so now you have to get a job, and then you have to do all this stuff, but you don't have time to take care of crops and animals, so you have to go to the grocery store and you have to go buy food, but you need money to buy food, so now you have to get a job, and then now you have to pay for your house and pay for food, and you can't just live on a land and have vegetables and food.
So that's your big rant, just colonization and capitalism is your rant.
Because I was telling him, like, I'd even give up electricity and video gaming and all this stuff because the main thing I do on those RPG games is farm and homestead anyways. So I'll just be doing it IRL, you know?
I love that. Dang, okay, so I wonder how many of our listeners could imagine living like that. You know what I mean? Like, how many people could comfortably transition to living off-grid? No electricity, no running water, really building out a homestead with their own hands, building their own home, growing their own food, taking care of livestock. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Dang, it feels like such a privilege, huh? Like, I feel like only rich people can do that these days.
I watched like an episode on Discovery Channel. It was about this guy who used to be like a millionaire or a billionaire. He sold all his assets and he just walks from one end of the country to the other end of the country, like in the northern tundra foresty areas.
Mm-hmm.
And he just lives in the forest off the land and whatever. Maybe he has like a cottage or something that he goes to during the harsh winters.
Mm-hmm.
But he just lives off the land. And I'm like, watching this, I'm like, people only accept it because he used to be a billionaire and then he sold everything and decided he wanted to live off the land. It wasn't the opposite, it wasn't like this guy just doesn't want to pay taxes, so he goes and lives off the land because he's cheap and poor and doesn't want to contribute to society. No,
yeah.
Like, oh, he's a billionaire and he gave up all his money to live off the land.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, there's another show called like The Alaskan Bush People.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing, like they live off the land. They don't pay too much in taxes or anything because they don't take anything from the government or infrastructure. And people celebrate that. I'm like, you forced all of us indigenous native people to live the American government colonialized way, but then now you're celebrating these non-indigenous people living off the land and saying, oh, I wish we could go back to those days or be like that. And I'm like, we were, but you decided we had to pay taxes.
I mean, there's some people that still live like that too on the res, and they're not getting praised. They're getting talked down to, and that pisses me off. I'm just like, you need to check yourself. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be talking down on people.
That's
like
what I mean. It's that like, it's that filter of like, oh, these people could be well-adjusted society people, but they chose not to be. Instead of like, oh, these people don't know any other way than just to live off the land, so they're lesser.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just kind of, annoying, frustrating that, like, these are two groups of people. Like, if you put, like, a grandma and a Che next to the Alaskan Bush people, and like, oh, the Navajo people, they don't have running water, they don't have electricity, they just live off the livestock and whatever crops they get. Boo-hoo them, they're poor, they need help, and they need infrastructure and electricity and modernization. And then there's these other people, who could easily assimilate, but like, oh no, we want to live this way. Like, oh, they want to live this way. How exciting and nuanced and amazing that they're, turning their backs on society and whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Like, I have so my two grandmas, my mom, Shimasene, my mom's mom, Shimasene, she raised all of her kids like in a hogan. You know what I mean? Everyone, like, I swear, like half my aunts and uncles were born at home, and they grew up in a hogan with a dirt floor, no electricity, no running water. They had crops though, and they had livestock, and they were saying that their quality of life was so much richer, you know what I mean, than after they moved. Because what happened was they were living in an area where the land dispute was happening, and they were given a choice. Well, my Che passed away, and my grandma decided to, you know, to move. She made that decision, and one of the like last things that she said was that she wished she hadn't, because even though she lived in a house that had running water and electricity, she didn't have the quality of life that she had before. And it's so sad because like I remember all throughout my youth, we would always go back to that place where their home was before they were moved off, like removed. And everyone has so much love for that space. And they have all these stories about, what it was like to grow their own crops, what it was like to have horses and cattle and sheep, and, like what it was like sun up to sundown. And it just sounded so fun and so rich. And you could tell they all missed it. And then my other grandma, my dad's grandma, she had two homes. She had a winter home and a summer home. And she lived like in the Grand Canyon area. And so she would move, with the seasons. And I always thought that was so cool because, I mean, she didn't have electricity or running water either, but she had two homes. You know what I mean? She had two homes. She had livestock. She always, I mean, she had really nice, the way her house was set up is she had like this big storeroom. And in her storeroom was like all kinds of like tools and anything you need to survive. She had guns and ammunition and tools and food and blankets and, anything you need, she had it. And and it was acquired over a lifetime. And I was just like, man, that's like such a cool way to live, And it didn't come with the confines of being attached to a company where you have to pay bills. You know what I mean? Like they had a lot of freedom. And I think when you decide to assimilate, you're selling a part of your soul, your spirit, and your history, and when you decide to live like a modern day American, you have to link yourself to companies just to, you know, enjoy, I guess, all of these things, these modern conveniences. So I don't know. It's an interesting trade-off, But I think if we really were to think about it with a humble mindset, without being judgmental, I think we could really get to a point where we see things more clearly as they truly are, rather than in a place of like judgment or a place of I don't know. I don't want to say shame, but I mean I think there's a little bit of that too, because I like, even myself, I kind of feel like, well, no, I don't feel like this because I didn't grow up like that, but I kind of sometimes feel like, have we given up? You know what I mean? And I'm thinking about that as like a collective of people, have we given up, or are we still going to fight? Are we still going to keep fighting? And yeah, that's kind of a crazy tangent, but kind of where
Yeah,
my thoughts went.
it's kind of like there's a trade-off. Like I was telling Gurnan, like if I could just pick up everything, cut the ties from everybody, just live on the mountain, and just live off of the land, I would do it. But then you also know you can't use electricity because you can't pay for it because you're not making money or an
Hmm.
income. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be fine. I'll be okay. Me personally, I'll be fine because like I don't want to say I don't like talking to people, but it's not my first instinct to want to talk to people. Um,
Hmm.
so that's one thing with the pandemic I have to struggle with right now is my own personality wise. I'm all up for sheltering in place and not going anywhere and not seeing anyone, but I
Hmm.
know some people like to go places and see people and do things. Like even my daughter, she's a
Hmm.
social butterfly. She likes to visit her grandmas. She likes to visit her cousins and see everyone. And I'm like, oh, sorry, you can't do that. But, you know, with me, it's like, oh, I don't like going to those. Like, I like seeing family, but sometimes I just want to stay home.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I think a lot of people are feeling that right now, and it's I had there was a huge internal conflict going on last November because you know how there were all these warnings going out over all media urging people not to come together for the holidays. And a lot of the epidemiologists were saying if we come together, if we travel to see family, if we come together in large groups to celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas, there's going to be a huge spike in cases, and there could be a lot of lives. And then there were even like there's even messaging like, don't let your next family gathering um, be a funeral, things like that, like super morbid. And I was like, dang, like that sucks. Like I don't even like to. I don't know. I was just like, it was really disturbing, and it really sucked because I think a lot of people who had been very strict about sheltering in place were kind of getting to that point where it's like, when is this going to end? You know what I mean? It's been months. And there was a kind of like an emergency in our family where we were asked to go um, to take care of something in California. And it was just this huge conflict. Me and my husband were like, this is a huge risk. Should we do this? Should we not? Because we had been very strict about sheltering in place, being really careful. And it was almost like duty called, and we're like, okay, we're going to do it. We decided to go. And it was scary. It was really scary for us, and we were super careful. But I felt like we were a part of the problem when we did that. You know what I mean? Like that's what I honestly felt like. Like, oh my God, we're a part of the problem. We're those people that can't just sit still. You know what I mean? And I was really scared about sharing that with anybody. I was afraid to share pictures. I was afraid to let anyone know that I had, left my home. But when we did, we needed that, like we needed to get out. Like when we were traveling, the kids were just like, oh my God, we haven't been in a car for so long. They were like tripping out at the world and how it had changed over the year because they were not allowed to leave the house basically. You know what I mean? And so they're kind of cooped up for all these years, and they were like, it feels so weird to wear a seatbelt. It feels so weird to be in a vehicle. And I'm like, poor things.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went and we had a great time. We were very careful. We had a great time. We got tested before we left. We got tested when we got back. We quarantined when we got back. And it was fine. We were fine. Luckily, the family that we're visiting, they've been like, they're like hermits. Like they never leave their home. So thank God for that. And luckily, we live in a very like secluded community. So and where we work, it's been very strict. But yeah, but it did feel like that for a moment though. Like, dang, are we part of the problem? And yeah, so I think that's like something that a lot of people are going through too, because I know a couple people who I know they had wedding anniversaries, and they celebrated their wedding anniversaries by leaving their homes and spending a week or a weekend somewhere. And they were like, we didn't post about that either, like we didn't want anyone to judge us. And this is conversations I had with them one-on-one, like through Messenger or on the phone. And they were just like, yeah, we're just scared of people like barking down our throats, and telling us that we're bad or awful or careless. So I think that's a huge problem I think right now that a lot of us are experiencing. And I don't know. There's
Yeah.
many ways this pandemic is affecting us.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Like, so I know we're supposed to like only stay within our own family members, so like our households.
Hmm.
But I'm my grandma's driver to most of her appointments. So I
Mm-hmm.
count her as part of our household.
Mm-hmm.
And then also my brother's household, which we've been visiting every almost like every other week before the pandemic started. So we were
Mm-hmm.
constantly in his household too. So I just, in my mind, we're all one lump sum household.
Yeah.
Because we have to work together for our business, and most of the time there's some things we can't do over the internet. There's some things that we have papers to sign and things to organize together as one
Mm-hmm.
big business. And for Thanksgiving, my mom was coming back because she had a doctor's appointment at at the IHS for Thanksgiving break. And at ASU, they have them testing. No, U of A, they have them testing like every week for COVID. So she knew she was negative. But then at this time, my grandma injured her leg, and her sister would visit her every now and then to help her with the morning chores. But then her sister's daughter, family, like one of her family members, got sick with COVID. And then
Mm-hmm.
they found out that evening, on Thanksgiving evening, no, Christmas Eve. It was Christmas Eve. Because I had to take my grandma to the hospital, and then I was coming back, and we got the text message Christmas Eve. Everyone was already at the household. I walk in with my grandma. I get the message. I'm like, oh no. Grandma's sister's daughter, family, tested positive. And we're like, what does that mean? Because my grandma's right there. Like, we didn't have direct contact. It was like we were in contact with somebody who was in contact with the household that had it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, what do we do with that? So when we went the next morning, we all went and got tested. And, or not the next morning, we like think we waited a couple of days to
Mm-hmm.
wait for anything to develop in our body. And they're like, so were you in contact with someone with COVID? We're like, no, we were in contact with somebody who was in contact with somebody with COVID. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, second hand, whatever. We're like, okay. But, my mom had to get back to school, and she didn't want to go back to her apartment where she lives with two other ladies and get them
Mm-hmm.
infected.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just this big scare, but we technically didn't do anything wrong. Like, my
Mm-hmm.
grandma's sister went to check up on her because she had a leg injury. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, you take care of your elders, and then it's like, we weren't doing anything wrong, but still something, we got a scare. So, like,
Yeah. Yeah, I know I saw, I mean, we kind of had a scare too, like outside of our family like that. Like we, it was a funeral that was happening. That's why we had to go because someone had passed away. And it wasn't COVID related, and everyone was saying that they were being safe and, whatever. So but what happened was while we were out there, there was another person that actually was in the hospital and they got sick and they passed away. And it was crazy because this person didn't have COVID, but when they were at the hospital getting treated, they contracted it, and that's what killed them. And I was like, that is so messed up. You know what I mean? And I think that's one thing that was pissing me off this year is like I know people have been really, really careful and they're taking all these precautions, but then they're asked to go to hospitals and they're put in waiting rooms sometimes with, dozens of people, and that's where they get it. They're trying to maintain their health and that's where they get it. And I'm just like, that is so messed up. You know what I mean? Like, shouldn't healthcare professionals be thinking about that? You know what I mean? Shouldn't they be taking extra precautions for, especially elderly people or people that have very serious conditions that are not related to COVID, but they need medical treatment on a regular basis? I'm just wondering, like, how how careful, are they being? Because I've heard at least of three instances like that where somebody went to the hospital and they were either going to get vaccinated or they were going for something else, and they contracted it there at the hospital. And this is in urban hospitals. It's not like at the IHS where they do drive-ups and it's all outside. It's like they're actually being asked to go into facilities and wait, and then they catch it. And I'm just like, what the heck? You know what I mean? Like, that's not cool. And then it's people I know that are actually taking care of their either their mothers and fathers or their grandparents. It's their responsibility, you know, because like that's what we do, you know, as Native people, we take care of our elders. And so they're doing that, but you know, they're running into these situations where the elder is being put in a dangerous situation. So I don't know. That's what was pissing me off this year. I was just like, what the heck? You know, I mean, you think we'd know by now that that's not safe, you know?
Yeah, but sometimes elders demand things. Like, I'll put my grandma on the spot. Her doctor wanted to do, phone examinations. I call you on the
Mm-hmm.
phone and we do the examination that way. My grandma hates that. She hates it.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't want to talk to the doctor over the phone. She wants to go to the hospital and she wants the doctor to look at her and tell her and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So she hates it. And she asks every time, I want an in-person appointment with my doctor.
Mm-hmm.
There's many reasons. She has bad hearing, so it's hard to talk to her over the phone. Doesn't have the best signal at times, so the calls get dropped. But
Mm-hmm.
like, you can put all these precautions and safety measures in place, but then there's still going to be some people who don't want to do it that way.
Yeah, you're right. I wasn't taking that into account. But you're right. You did tell me too before that your grandma is very like set in her ways, I guess. Like she likes things to be done a certain way, right?
Yeah.
And grandma gets what grandma wants, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I don't want to just. Sometimes I've had to put my foot down with her, but it's her truck, and if she wants to go drive, she's gonna go drive. And it's like, okay, old lady. Um, you know,
Yeah.
she's independent. She has her own monies coming in. So unless she breaks her leg again, she doesn't really need me. But and some elders are just like that. They like to do the things they like to do, and they're too old to want to change.
Hmm. Yeah, that's so true. And it's like, who are we to tell them, you know, how to live their lives, especially if they've lived longer than us?
I guess so, but
I guess so. Well,
I can
it's
just give her
funny.
the facts and give her the information and the best guests of all the experts, and she's gonna do what she wants.
Hmm.
She's gonna ignore it and pretend she didn't hear me, or actually gonna take that into consideration.
Yeah, I know. I work with someone who has a mother who refuses to get vaccinated, and this person is just like, please, you know what I mean? Please just get vaccinated. That way I don't have to worry about you so much. And the mother's just like, no, I'm not going to. And I'm like, and so it's like stressful, you know, it's stressful for the child who's, I mean, this person isn't a child, but the child of the person, of the elder person.
Yeah, like it was really hard to, like, I don't know, not have gatherings. I guess it's really hard on my grandma, specifically when funerals happen.
Hmm.
And you're supposed to show up, be in a big group, you're supposed to cook all this food, you're supposed to gather as a big family and everything, but it's like, no, stay in the car, don't go anywhere, stay home. And
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like not doing the funerals the way we used to do them really hurts the elderly people personally.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think people forget too how isolating old age can be, you know? I think when you're young and you're on social media, or you still have a social life, or you still have your partner with you, you're not thinking about how isolating it can be as an elder and how hard life can be when you're kind of just doing it on your own, you know?
Yeah, that's true. You know, old people get lonely, I guess. I guess. They do, of course they do, but
That's funny.
like
Anyway,
it's just me. I'm a hermit, okay? My soul is a hermit. It wants to be left alone. So when I'm like, yeah, I guess people get lonely, and it's like an educated guess. From the facts that have told to me, people get lonely. Um, you know, that's my perspective. But hey everyone, that's been Navajo Tea Time. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment about any of the topics that we've talked about today or past. And we will talk to you guys soon. Hagonet!